For years, Holmes believed he was untouchable. Bodies vanished, money flowed in, and no one questioned the man behind the smile. But every lie leaves a trail, and every crime creates a witness, even if that witness is time. This is the story of how Holmes' empire collapsed, how the murder castle was exposed, and how America's first serial killer finally fell. Holmes' crimes did not end in Chicago. His hunger for money grew faster than his caution. By the early 1890s, he was deeply involved in insurance fraud schemes across multiple states. He forged documents, stole identities, and made promises he never intended to keep. His most dangerous mistake was trusting the wrong partner, a man named Benjamin Pitzel. Pitzel was a small-time criminal who worked closely with Holmes. Together, they planned one final insurance scam, a fake death worth a large payout. But Holmes changed the plan. In 1894, Holmes convinced Pitzel to fake his own death using chloroform. The plan was simple: stage an accident, file an insurance claim, split the money. Instead, Holmes killed him. Pitzel's body was discovered in Philadelphia. At first, the death appeared accidental, but something didn't add up. The injuries were inconsistent. The paperwork raised questions, and Holmes had made a fatal error. He had crossed federal lines. Because insurance fraud fell under federal jurisdiction, the case drew the attention of the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. One agent in particular began tracking Holmes' movements. As investigators followed him, they discovered something far worse. Holmes was traveling with 3 of Pitzel's children. He promised the widow they were safe. They were not. Holmes moved the children from state to state. One was killed and buried in Indianapolis. The others were murdered in Toronto. Their deaths were slow, calculated, and unnecessary. This was not about money anymore. This was about control. When investigators uncovered the truth, public outrage exploded. Holmes was no longer just a con artist. He was a murderer of children. Holmes was arrested in Boston in late 1894. At first, authorities believed they were dealing with fraud. Then came Chicago. Police searched the building known as the Murder Castle. What they found shocked the nation. Hidden rooms, gas chambers, dissection tables, human remains. The press seized the story. Holmes, enjoying the attention, began confessing. But his confessions were unreliable. He changed details, contradicted himself, exaggerated his crimes. At times, he claimed 27 victims. At others, over 200. The true number may never be known. Holmes was put on trial in 1895, primarily for the murder of Benjamin Pitzel. The evidence was overwhelming. Witnesses testified to his lies. Documents exposed his fraud. Physical evidence tied him to murder. Holmes showed little emotion. He remained calm, polite, detached. The jury took less than 5 hours to convict him. Holmes was sentenced to death by hanging. On May 7, 1896, he was executed. Even in death, Holmes sought control. He requested to be buried in concrete, to prevent grave robbers from dissecting his body. The irony was complete. The man who dismembered others feared becoming one himself. The murder castle was eventually destroyed by fire, but its legacy remained. Holmes changed how America viewed crime. He proved that monsters did not always look dangerous, that intelligence could hide evil, and that trust could be weaponized. He was not driven by rage or desperation. He was driven by calculation. Holmes was not the last serial killer, but he was the first to show America a terrifying truth. Evil does not always scream. Sometimes it smiles. This is Crime Depth. If this series changed how you see crime, subscribe for more stories. We don't chase shock. We uncover how evil hides in plain sight. This is Crime Depth, where the story doesn't end when the sentence is passed. Tell us in the comments, did justice truly catch H. Holmes, or did the full truth die with him?